Hey guys, welcome back to Fix It Friday, the weekly YouTube series where we talk about video game console mods, repairs, and restorations. And for this week's episode, we're going to be going back to the original black and white Game Boy. Now, as some of you might know, there have been options for improving the screen quality for a Game Boy for quite some time. When Nintendo first came out with this, it was just four colors of green, no backlighting, no nothing. For the Game Boy, and so you really need to be like in direct sunlight or in a really bright environment to easily see what's going on with this particular console. Now, there have been solutions to improve that for quite some time, like this backlit and biverted Game Boy that you see right here. However, if this screen goes bad, there's pretty much nothing you can do, and so that's exactly what's happened here. So this Game Boy, the motherboard itself is working perfectly fine, but the problem with it is that the screen has horizontal lines, and those are extremely difficult or impossible to fix. And so basically, when this screen goes, that's it, it's done. But now, there's an option where you can completely replace the screen with a new modern IPS screen. So far, from what I've seen, the results look incredible, but I'd like to do it myself and show all of you guys how to do it too. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so here is everything that comes with the kit. So you get the IPS screen, you get two connectors. This one goes from the new screen to the motherboard of the Game Boy. This is the new screen controller, and so that's going to go to this ribbon cable here. And then you have a new custom controller PCB, and so it has the control pad buttons here, and it's got a little contrast wheel, which is a little different from the original one, and it also clicks in, so I think that allows you to change colors. And then you also have a 3D printed bracket here, which holds everything in place. So to start, what you got to do is open up the Game Boy, and you have 6 tri-wing screws that you need to take out. Once you do that, there's a ribbon cable that connects the two boards together, so you just take that and you just pull like that. And now we've got the two halves separated from each other. Okay, so now that we have the front half of the shell available to us, what we're going to do is take out the original screen. And the screen controller board is held in place by 10 Phillips screws, and you can see the locations where all of those go. It's actually where these little white circles are. So I had taken the liberty of pulling those out. And for this step, you might want to be cautious with pulling it off. It might be stuck to the front. In this case, it really is not, so not a big deal. Going to take that, we're going to open it up, and from here we're also going to take the conductive pads and set them off to the side because we don't need those, and they're going to fall and go missing anyway if we don't do that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove 3 things. We're going to remove this standoff, and this little strip over here, this little plastic strip here. So to do that, you need a pair of flush cutters like this. And it's pretty straightforward. Once you have a good pair of flush cutters, you just bring it right up to the edge and you just snip, like so. And then for this one, I'm going to just hold it like this. And just kind of tilt to the side and snap. And that's it. What's nice is that even though those points are gone, you can technically still reattach the screen and it still would hold in place. I mean, they're not absolutely essential, so one could potentially reverse this if you wanted to. Okay, so there's one other case mod that we have to do, and it has to do with this little strip of plastic right over here. So what happens is that when you take the case, you put it together, the little strip of plastic kind of gets in the way of the new contrast wheel, which is right over here. It's a little bit it's not thick enough. So to fix that, all you gotta do is just snip off this little piece here. And again, just like before, you just take out your flush cutters. It's pretty simple. You just line them up and you just snip like that, flying across the room. But there you go. Now it's nice and flush and small, and now when I put in the PCB, it shouldn't get in the way. Okay, so there's a little bit more trimming to do, and it's on the actual Game Boy motherboard itself. you'll notice that there are these 3 little solder points over here, and you want to kind of just trim those down just a little bit, and this is just to prevent any potential contact between those points and the circuit board, which is going to be on the opposite side. So mine are actually pretty, yeah, they're actually very small as it is. I don't actually see much of a reason to snip anything here, but you know, each Game Boy is going to be different. There might be reasons to do so, and so yeah, I've snipped these I think already pretty well, and yeah, that is pretty much the extent of the modifications that you need to do. So very simple overall. Okay, so now we're going to get to the actual soldering, and there's almost no soldering in this particular project at all, but just a tiny little bit, and honestly this is optional if you've already got a speaker. So basically what we're going to do is take the speaker from this board and we're going to swap it onto the other board. So to do that, we just got to add a little bit of solder here. See, it just comes right out, nice and easy. Set that aside. Now we're going to take the new speaker, the new board, and you just got to thread these through. And just do one at a time here. Second one. Okay, so the next step is to take the IPS screen and connect it up to the controller board. And so what you do is you put it in like this, face down, with the stripe facing up towards you, and you kind of push it in. Place. Yeah. And lock it in. And that's done. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. So again, you take the contacts, you face them down towards the board. And just push them in. Like that. Lock it in, and now that's attached too. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this screen mounted into position. So you start by taking it and putting it into this bracket, and you just kind of like angle the bracket, and it will lock into place and keep everything nice and snug and secure, just like that. Now that that's in place, we're going to put it into these 4 posts. Kind of push down, and now the screen is all set. And from here, we're going to take a little bit of this double-sided tape right here. Don't need very much. Just like that should be enough, I think. Just a little bit. Apply it to the board like this, and we're gonna just take the other half off. There we go. And now we just flip it down, and that tacks it into place. We're not gonna have any issues with that. Okay, so that's all set. Okay, so technically now we're pretty much at the home stretch, so let's go ahead and reassemble things. It's all in place. Now we're gonna fold this over. And we're gonna lock this guy in. And hopefully this is coming up on camera. So you just kind of roll it over onto itself and into the slot there, and you just kind of push and then lock it in, and there we go. That's all set. And so now I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some screws to secure this guy down. There we go. Okay, all set. And so it's gonna go in. It's gonna go in like this. Tricky. So I've got to bend this guy into position. I think I have to do this possibly off camera. We'll see. I'll do my best. But basically, it's gonna go and bend upward like this and lock in over here. Let's see what I can do. Okay, so it wasn't perfect, but I got it in. And so it just goes like that from here to here. And now we're gonna just kind of push and see how things look. And just lock it in with one or two of these tri-wing screws just to give it a quick test. Okay guys, so we are back and I finished assembling everything, and so now I've got 3 Game Boys playing basically the same game so that you can compare and contrast the different screens. So here on the right, this is my childhood stock Game Boy, totally unmodified, everything is original. And so there's the screen. You can see it looks like what you remember, and as you might imagine, if I turn off this lamp here, you basically get nothing. So yeah, that's the original screen, and this is an original screen that I have backlit and biverted, and it's not coming out very good in the camera, but you know, in person I can tell you that it looks rather good. Let me mess with the contrast a little bit. There we go. So yeah, you can see that it looks good, but it's going to have still some of the same kind of ghosting and latency of the original stock screen, because of course it is in fact an original stock screen, but still it's good. It's definitely better than a screen that is not backlit and biverted. And now here is the new screen on this previously non-working Game Boy, and so you can see it's really bright. Everything looks extremely crisp, and I'm gonna show you a few other interesting tricks that come with this kit as well. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so if you recall, there is a new contrast wheel here, and as you might guess, if I mess with the contrast wheel, I can increase and decrease the brightness to my heart's content. But then if you also push it inwards, you'll notice that you get a color palette change. And not only that, you can get a backlight change as well, so the background can change to a different color. So I'm going to just cycle through them and you guys can take a look and see what happens. So you see you get like a backlight change, then you also get a color palette change as well. Very cool. This is not something that was ever previously possible on a Game Boy, and you know, it can make different games look quite interesting. This is definitely much more of a kind of pea green, like original Game Boy kind of look, but you can also have it black and white, so it looks more like a pocket. And so yeah, you can just cycle through these color palettes, and you can also adjust brightness, and I think that is a really nice feature. It's something that no other mod has offered before, and so yeah, overall, I mean, I really have to say I'm extremely happy with this. I think this is really the best solution for improving the video quality on your Game Boy because of the color options, and it's extremely bright and crisp and responsive. And of course, if you've got a Game Boy with a broken screen, then this is the way to do things and get it back to life. So again, if you guys, like this video, please feel free to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That would help us out a lot. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.